Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Mindy here. I hope you're all doing very well and it's been an amazing week for you. Today I'm going to talk about fragrances that I consider to be sultry, sensual, seductive, sweet, and in some cases maybe even a little bit smoky. These are all fragrances that work perfectly in the cool weather months ahead. They're also fragrances that might fall into another S category, and that's a little bit sexy. These are perfumes that I love to wear on a date night if I get the chance to go out, but they're also fragrances that I don't mind wearing when I'm inside for the night, or I'm going to be in the house for the weekend and I just want something that I enjoy wearing. They're all stunning, they're all beautiful, they're all rated pretty high, so I consider them to be crowd pleasers as well. And before I get started, I did want to share a couple honorable mentions. I didn't want to include these in the formal list simply because I talk about them quite frequently. They're loves of mine, and I'm trying to avoid a little bit of redundancy. This is La Nuit Tresor by Lancome. This is the EDP. And this is La Nuit Tresor also by Lancome. This is à la Folie. Both of these are gorgeous fragrances. This one a little bit more fruity, a little bit smoky. This one a little bit more vanillic, warm, cozy, ambery. Both are exceptional fragrances. Both I've heard of a lot of people getting compliments, even in my personal life. These are just stunning. They're accessible. They're fragrances that I highly recommend, but I didn't want to include on this list because I do talk about them quite frequently. They are absolute staples in my collection. La Nuit Tresors by Lancome. The first fragrance that I have today is one that I consider to have an absolute narcotic quality to it. It's almost like the effect of catnip on me. I guess I'll call it scent nip for lack of a better word. This one is just stunning. It's warm, it's rich, it's intoxicating. This fragrance is Bois Dore by Van Cleef and Arpels. This fragrance is incredibly smooth. It has a richness to it. There is a vanillic base here, but it also has tobacco and almondy heaven in this one. Also added in this one is something called mineral notes, and I honestly don't exactly know what the mineral notes smell like, but I can only assume that they add to the amazing depth and character in this fragrance. It is worth mentioning that this one is marketed towards both men and women, and I honestly find that it falls right down the middle. Anybody can wear this fragrance and it will feel stunning on them. Now, going on a complete different tangent, I did want to mention that if you're looking for a fragrance like this one that's kind of in that vein, but you want something marketed a little bit more towards men, I do think there is an alternative for you. That is Herod by Parfums de Marly. It is an exquisite, masculine-leaning fragrance that I adore. But I do have the Alexandria Fragrances cologne. My husband wears this frequently. This is Arabian Horse, and this one is very close to Herod by Parfums de Marly and is an exquisite scent. For ladies, I would say if you have a man that already checks all the boxes for you, this fragrance or Herod will absolutely increase his irresistibility factor. For men, I would say if you've already charmed your significant other with your sparkling personality, your generosity, and I'm talking time, not money, your kindness, your compassion, I do think that this magic potion is only going to amplify all those amazing things. So if you like something along these lines, but maybe a little bit more masculine, I love this as an alternative. I'm off the tangent here, back to Bois Dore. The last thing I would say here is that this one is a highly rated fragrance. In fact, I think all of these here are, so I do find this to be quite a crowd pleaser. I think most people would enjoy and appreciate the scent of this fragrance. Again, that is Bois Dore by Van Cleef and Arpels. The next fragrance I have here is arguably one of the more well-known fragrances from this list. This is Dior Addict. This is another one that I find to be a little bit more accessible, so one I definitely suggest trying before buying because I don't think this one is for everyone, but this is an amazing fragrance that has grown on me. It was not a love at first sniff, so I did have to play with it a little while to acclimate to it, but it is a rich, deep, smoky vanilla. I find it to be alluring, intoxicating. This one definitely has a reputation for being seductive. I'm honestly surprised by the simplistic note structure for this fragrance. What I'm seeing for the 2014 version, which is what I believe I have, the Mandarin Leaf, Orange Blossom, Jasmine Sambac, and Bourbon Vanilla. For me, I feel like I'm getting something a little bit deeper and richer. So like an incense note or a woody note like sandalwood and cedar, but that's not listed here. I don't know, maybe the Bourbon Vanilla has enough of that richness and that warm, delicious coziness. It just feels like there is more to this fragrance than what is listed. You know, some people say that this is a shell of what it once was. There was a 2002 version, which I've never had the fortune to smell, but for me, ignorance is bliss. I do love the version that I have, a stunning fragrance that will work beautifully in the cool months. This is Addict by Dior. The next fragrance that I have here is Labelle Le Parfum. And I actually prefer this a little bit more than the original Labelle because there's more depth, there's more smokiness, there's a little bit more richness in this fragrance, and I find myself reaching for this one more than the original. I honestly think there's a little bit of confusion on what's in this fragrance as well as the original Labelle. For the longest time, the original Labelle only had a few notes listed. Now they have leather listed in the Fragrantica notes profile. And for me, I wonder if that's why I'm not totally in love with that one. I tend to have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with fragrances that have leather. This one does not have that. This one actually has the added note of tonka bean, I believe. And I do think that contributes a little bit to that almond vanillic scent profile that you get here. There are some fruity tones in this fragrance, and I don't see tobacco listed anywhere, but it has a little bit of that quality that I like in some of the other fragrances that I have here that have tobacco notes. So while it's not here, I do get a little bit of that maybe smoky, delicious character in Labelle. For me, as it relates back to the original Labelle fragrance, I find this to be warmer, cozier, it's got more depth to me, it's got more character, it is a little bit denser. But one thing I would say about this one is I do prefer this one for the cooler months and the cooler months only. I did reach for this on a very hot day last summer, and I just found it didn't really work well with my skin. It didn't really feel right in the very hot weather. In fact, I found it to be a little bit cloying. So I don't know how you guys feel about this one, but I do find myself being a little bit finicky on when I reach for this one. Again, this is Labelle Le Parfum, and it's also referred to as the Intense. The next fragrance that I have here is one that evokes the most bittersweet emotion to me. This is a fragrance that I find absolutely beautiful. This is Lipstick On by Replica. You know, it should be considered a crime to discontinue this amazing beauty. I honestly want to know who I can speak to at Replica to issue a formal complaint. It is so sad because this is a stunning fragrance that really has grown on me over the past 6-8 months since I've had it. This one has a kind of cool lipsticky vibe, but there's an addition of vanilla in this fragrance, bourbon vanilla to be exact, which keeps it feeling a little bit warm. So Iris has this reputation. For me, it's a little bit of an acquired taste. Iris had to grow on me. It wasn't my very favorite floral note at first, but I truly love it now. It's a little bit earthy, it's a little bit rooty. Some people reference it being like a carrot, but I don't want people to be turned off by that reference because I think sometimes when you think of a carrot in a perfume, that sounds off-putting. In here, it is just stunning the way it's done. This really is an exquisite fragrance for Iris lovers. It's deep with a dark powdery nuance. Again, the bourbon vanilla and Iris play together so well in this one to just make it almost perfection level for me. One thing I'll say is that for those people that are devastated by the discontinuation of this one, there could be some alternatives. I've seen a couple fragrances come up that may be related to this one. I've also bought L'Ange Noir by Givenchy. This one is okay, but I think it just lacks a little bit of that depth that I like from Lipstick On. It lacks suburban vanilla, it lacks some of the richness, and so while I think this is okay, it may be a suitable alternative for some, it's definitely not the same as Lipstick On. And real quick, I just want to give a hot tip. I did see this listed on eBay somewhat recently for a very reasonable price for what you get and compared to the normal market price for this fragrance. I do think if other people aren't really wanting to get this one, I may pick it up at some point and have a backup bottle for Lipstick On by Replica. Last up is a more recent add to my collection. This is Nirvana Amethyst by the Elizabeth and James line. One thing I absolutely love about this fragrance is it is affordable. I've seen that this has gone on clearance in some places, but I did buy this bottle for a very affordable price and definitely recommend getting your nose on this one. This does have tobacco. The notes listed here are tobacco, beautiful honeysuckle, cedar, and spices. And I actually lust over tobacco in men's fragrances. I've really been craving it in a fragrance marketed towards women. So I'm really happy to have found this one because I think it's done beautifully in the composition of Nirvana Amethyst. I don't know, it looks like quite a few people have rated this one as leaning feminine, but quite frankly, the vast majority of people have said that this one is unisex, myself included. I really do think anyone can wear this fragrance and really enjoy the scent profile. This fragrance is cozy, it's comforting, it's sultry, it's seductive, it's a little bit spicy, and it has a little bit of darkness to it. I do think this is one that people who like fragrances in this range or this category would probably really enjoy. This one is Nirvana Amethyst, one I'm really happy to have two of in my collection by Elizabeth and James. Alright guys, thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I truly appreciate you. If you enjoyed this video on sensual, seductive, sweet perfumes that I have in my collection, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Also, let me know what fragrances I missed from this list because I definitely want to get my nose on others that evoke this same feeling. I hope you have a lot to be grateful and thankful for. I hope it's an amazing weekend for you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.